कस्तूरी तिलकं ललाट पटले वक्षस्थले कौस्तुभम् नासाग्रे वर्मौक्तिकं करतले वेणुकरे कङ्कणम् सर्वांगे हरिचन्दनं सुललितम् कंठे च मुक्तावली गोपास्त्री परिवेष्टितो विजयते गोपालचूडामणि वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनम् देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. Today will be the 17th chapter. 16 chapters we have completed. First, we have started the canto with the episode in which Mother Earth has taken the form of a cow and is pleading to Brahmaji to mitigate her suffering because the sins on the Bhulok, the Prithvi Lok, has gone up so much in the Kali Yuga. And the dharma is at its lowest in Kali Yuga. The dharma, the dharan karne yogya dharma, which is represented by a bull, is in Kali Yuga standing only on one leg. 3 legs are broken, so to say. So we can imagine the state of dharma in Kali Yuga. We also recall in Bhagwat Mahatmya, in the very first chapter, in which Naradji meets Bhakti Devi, this point is very beautifully illustrated. That once Naradji came down on the Bhulok and he was visiting different places, Prayag, Nashik, Setuband, Rameshwaram, Kashi, etc. And then he came to Vrindavan, and in Vrindavan he saw a very beautiful woman. She had 2 sons who had become old, and there were devis who were fanning her and consoling her, and she was lamenting about these 2 sons. Then Naradji approached her, and she was very happy to see the saint Naradji, and she said, "Sir, please do something for the mitigation of my suffering." And Naradji found out that she was Bhakti personified, Bhakti Devi. And the 2 sons are Gyan and Vairagya, the knowledge and detachment. So that is the position of Bhakti Devi in Kali Yuga. And then we also recall in that incident that first Naradji applied different methods. He chanted Vedic mantras, he chanted Bhagavad Gita, and there would be some improvement, but again, the old 2 sons will go back into the old emaciated stage, and they were completely weakened and lazy and sleeping. So Naradji was very much perplexed what to do, because Saint Narad is such a powerful personality himself. When he was in a state of agitation, there was Akashvani, and that Akashvani said that Naradji, there is a greater recipe for this. You have to figure out that. and then only the two sons will be revived completely. Because Bhakti Devi had also been tormented uh, in the other places, because if you read the Mahatmya, it says, Bhakti Devi says that I was born in Dravid Desh, and I grew up in Karnataka. When I came to Maharashtra, I had some issues, some problems, and in Gujarat, uh, when she came down, there were other problems. And finally, when she landed up in Vrindavan, she became youthful. So she was very surprised. But the mystery was revealed by Naradji, who said that in Vrindavan, the bhakti is still, very much active, and because of that, you regained your youthfulness. And she is looking youthful, but her two sons, Gyan and Vairagya, knowledge and detachment, have become old, emaciated, and miserable. So Naradji wants to help them out, but he tries different methods, chanting of Vedic mantras and Bhagavad Gita, but they get temporary relief, but it does not mitigate the complete miseries. Finally, Naradji hears an Akashvani, and that Akashvani says that, Naradji, you have to uh, apply the method, which is very secretive, and explore that, and then only these problems can be resolved. But Naradji did not have a clue how to go about it. So he would meet people, and people of knowledge, and try to get an answer, but he was not able to. And in fact, people would whisper that Naradji is not able to get an answer. He's asking us. And finally, he meets Sanakadik Rishis, Sanat Sanatan, Sanak Sanandan. They suggest that you conduct Bhagavad Sapta, the narration of Bhagavad Katha, and that alone is going to be the recipe for their miseries. So, this is a very famous story in Haridwar, in the place called Anand. This Bhagavad Katha was arranged by Naradji, and in a very beautiful place conducive to such gathering, where water from Gangaji was available. There were orchards and trees, etc. Very beautiful description is there, and Bhagavad Katha was narrated. And at the end of the Katha, everything was so beautiful and bright. The Bhakti Devi had regained all her youthfulness and enthusiasm, and she was dancing with ecstasy. And the Gyan and Vairagya had also regained their youthfulness. So that is the glory of Bhagavad Katha, which I thought I'll share at the beginning of today's session. And now we will go into the episode about the the we completed Kalyanag, uh, Kalyanag's episodes, two episodes in which Kalyanag was graced by the Lord and forgiven for his wrongdoings. And then uh, before that, we had read about how Kalyanag attacked Sri Krishna, and Sri Krishna had danced over the hoods. And today's episode is about uh, chapter 17, right? So, right. And so let us go through that chapter. But before that, we will sing a bhajan. Ye mol amolak dijiye. Ye mol, ye mol amolak लीजिए. पिया मोल अमोलक लीजिए. पिया मोल, पिया मोल अमोलक लीजिए. पिया मोल अमोलक लीजिए. अस अवसर फिर नाही मिले गो. अस अवसर फिर
नाही मिले गो अस अवसर फिर, नाही मिले गो अस अवसर फिर, नाही मिले गो बातन बातन मोरे पति जिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए। बनन चहत जो अमर सुहागिनी, 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 तन मन राधे तन मन प्राणन दीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए। तन मन प्राणन दीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए। दय सर्वस लय प्रेम सुधारस, 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 तेहि रस महनित बीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए। यतीन जी।
पुनीत ही रस ही पिवाई और ही, पुनीत ही रस ही पिवाई और ही, पुनीत ही रस ही पिवाई और ही, पुनीत ही रस ही पिवाई और ही। आप हूँ राधे आप हूँ सोई रस पीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए। जन्म कृपालु सफल कर लीजिए, जन्म कृपालु सफल कर लीजिए, जन्म कृपालु सफल कर लीजिए, जन्म कृपालु सफल कर लीजिए। क्यों कर राधे क्यों कर निज कर मीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए। राधे
पिय
राधे।
मोल अमोलक लीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए। राधे गोविंद गोविंद गोविंद, राधे गोविंद बिंद पियमोल पियमोल अमोलक लीजिए पियमोल अमोलक लीजिए लीजिए लीजिए। बोलिए श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की
जय
जय। श्रीमद् युगल सरकार की जय।
जय
जय जय श्री राधे।
राधे
जय जय श्री
श्री
राधे।
राधे
जय जय
Shri
श्री
राधे।
Radhe.
राधे।
Our koti koti pranam to the lotus feet of Sri Hari and Sri Guru. Our koti koti pranam to Swami Mukundanandji. My humble pranam to each one of you. And now let us read from the chapter 17 of Canto 10, the history of Kaliya. And the background today, we learned about the glories of Bhagavad Mahapuran. Every shloka of Bhagavad Mahapuran is the most potent tool in Kali Yuga. That is why when Shri Krishna was leaving the planet and going back to his Golok Dham, Uddhavji was completely shattered and he was asking Shri Krishna, how are we going to lead a life without you, O Shri Krishna? And Shri Krishna had said that I will not be gone, I will be present in Bhagavad Mahapuran. So Bhagavad Mahapuran is the form of the Supreme Personality Shri Krishna. That is why it is worshipped as the form of the Lord. So we learned about the glories of Bhagavad through the mitigation of sufferings of Bhakti Devi and her two sons Jnana and Vairagya. And in the glories also we had read about Atmadev, his wife Dhunduli, their son Dundukari, and how Dundukari had been killed by the 5 prostitutes he had brought home after torturing his father and mother, who got so agitated. The father went away and the mother jumped in the well. But this Dundukari was also killed by the 5 prostitutes. They strangulated him and put the burning wood logs in his mouth. A very ghastly story, and Dundukari had become a ghost. Ghost is a personality where the body is made of air, and that is why it is always very moving. And his cousin, Gokarn, brother, he had also gone out because the story is Dundukari, Dunduli, the wife, had not eaten the fruit. They had given the fruit to a cow. They conspired. The wife had conspired with her sister. And the sister said, you take my son because you don't want to go through the labor and the pain, etc. So she had given the fruit to the cow, and baby cow was born, but it had the head of a human. So that person was called Gokarn. And that Gokarn used to see the ghost of Dundukari, and then he inquired and found out that this is Dundukari. And Gokarn told him, actually, we had done all the rituals in Gaya, the Shraddh, etc. So how is it that you have become a ghost? And then the knowledge was revealed to him that Dundukari's mitigation is possible only if he listens to the Bhagavad Katha. And a Bhagavad Katha was arranged by Gokarnji, who narrated Bhagavad Katha, and then Dundukari was also liberated. So many glories of Bhagavad Mahapuran, and we are very fortunate to be hearing the glories once again. And today let us take up the text from the history of Kaliya. So after hearing the Leela of Kaliya's deliverance, King Parikshit asks, why at all did Kaliya leave Ram Anakam previously, which is the abode of the Nagas? What was his enmity against Garur? Background: the glorious devotee Garur had a grudge against the Kurodh Vasas, snakes, as their mother Kadru had troubled his mother Vinta, due to which he, Garur, would kill and eat the snakes indiscriminately. Uh, the snakes then approached Lord Brahma for a solution to end the dispute. Lord Brahma settled the matters with a truce and mutual consent from both, that on every Amavasya day, all Nagas would offer food, keeping it at the base of a tree in their abode Ramanakam. Garur would then eat the offered food, satisfying his hunger without any more need for Garur to kill the snakes. Sukdev Maharaj replies, as per the truce got about by Lord Brahma, the Nagas, terrified of Garur, offered food to Garur once in a month. Subsequently, Kadru's son, the proud and egoistic Kalia, would himself devour the food kept for Garur. The furious Garur swooped on Kalia to attack it. Kalia then raised all his hoods, spewing venom at Garur. The mighty Garur, son of Kashyap Rishi, who seats the Lord on him as his vehicle, pushed Kalia back with one stroke of his brilliantly shining left wing. Beaten by that one single stroke, the agitated Kalia then entered into the Kalindi, as Garur could not follow him there, as it was rendered inaccessible to Garur due to a curse. So in the picture, you can see Garur with Kalia with so many heads, and Garur attacking him. And Garur ji is the son of Kashyap uh, and Vinta, because Rishi Kashyap, who comes from the descendants of Marichi, who is the Manas Putra of Brahmaji, who was married to many women, Aditi, Diti, and one of the wives is Vinta, one of the wives is Kadru. So Kadru, Mother Kadru had given birth to these Nagas, and Vinta was the mother of Garur, and that was the enmity. So the background we have learned, and now let us move into the next slide. Because known only to Kalia, Garur, who had once earlier picked up a fish for eating to curb his hunger, was seen and forbidden by Rishi Saubhari, who was meditating inside Kalindi. When Garur ignored the sage's warning, the sage, seeing the other fishes distressed and miserable without their leader, declared, if the mighty and famous Garur again enters and eats the fish here, he shall be deprived of life. Knowing this fact, Kalia fearlessly continued staying in the Kalindi waters, safe from Garur. Hence, Sri Krishna, giving protection from Garur, then expelled Kalia out from Kalindi and back to the ocean. Now, in the present moment, seeing Krishna coming out of the Kalindi river in a beautiful ethereal garland, anointed in sandal paste and wearing wonderful garments, all the Brajvasis, along with Nandaraj, Yashoda, Rohini, rose as if life was restored back to them and hugged their dear Sri Krishna. Balram laughed and lifted Krishna high, giving bliss to all creations, including the gopis, bulls and calves, beholding in extreme joy. Nandraj bestowed gifts on the Brahmins when they asked him to do charity. All the residents, totally fatigued now with the day's events, spent that night on the banks of the Kalindi. Around midnight, a raging wild forest fire flared up, bewildering the Brajvasis, and they then looked at Sri Krishna, seeking his refuge. So, in today's episode, there are two stories. One about Kalia Nag, his background, why the enmity between Kalia and Garurji, and then the curse by Sabriji to Garur, because Sabriji was meditating and he would get disturbed, and Kalia could stay there. And finally, when all these Gopas had fallen dead because of the effect of the poison, then Krishna revived them and fought with Kalia. All these stories we read, and now we learned about the forest fire, which happened in the midnight when everyone was sleeping, and Brajvasis were bewildered, and they now looked at Sri Krishna for his shelter, for his refuge. So let's read the next slide. Over to you, Yatinji.
जी भैया. Verse 10, 17, 24. सुदुस्तरान्य स्वान पाहि कलाग्ने सुहद्र प्रभो न शक्नुमत् मत्सत्वचरणं संत्ययुक्तुम कुतोभयम्. Translation: Pray, protect us, your own mates, from the deadly fire, which is most difficult to escape from. We are not afraid of death, but we are unable to leave your lotus feet, our definite asylum. Sukdev ji then happily concludes, and the ever merciful Lord, possessing of infinite energy, swallowed up the fierce fire to relieve the agony of his devotees. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. So here we have already read about the prayers by the Brajvasis. They are praying to Lord, who is the savior of all, who is causelessly merciful, and he reciprocates the bhakti. He is just looking for a little gesture from the devotees, and that is what is conveyed here also. And finally, Sukdev ji is concluding that the ever merciful Lord, possessing of infinite energy, swallowed up the fierce fire to relieve the agony of his devotees. So we can see Sri Krishna, who is kartum akartum anyatha kartum samartha, has potential to do whatever he wishes to do, whatever is possible to do, whatever he wants to do, whatever he does not want to do, and whatever he wants to do, the opposite of what he does. So kartum akartum anyatha kartum samartha, so he can easily swallow up the fire, which is what he is doing in the picture. So with that, we conclude the text reading. Let us see the takeaways in the next slide. So this is a beautiful sloka from Bhagavad Mahapuran. So Yatinji.
जी भैया. भयं द्वितीयाभिनिवेशत स्वा दिशादपेतस्य विपर्यो स्मृति तन्मायया तो बुध अभाजे तं भक्त्यै कयेशं गुरुदेवात्मा. ईश्वर ट्रांसलेशन: ईश्वर विमुख पुरुष को उनकी माया से अपने स्वरूप की विस्मृति ईश्वर से विमुख पुरुष को उनकी माया से अपने स्वरूप की विस्मृति हो जाती है, और इस विस्मृति से ही मैं देवता हूँ, मैं मनुष्य हूँ, इस प्रकार का भ्रम विपर्य हो जाता है. इस देह आदि अन्य वस्तु में अभिनिवेश तन्मयता होने के कारण ही बुढ़ापा, मृत्यु, रोग आदि अनेकों भय होते हैं. इसलिए अपने गुरु को ही आराध्य देव परम प्रियतम मानकर अनन्य भक्ति के द्वारा उस ईश्वर का भजन करना चाहिए. राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe. So this shlok is a special shlok because Maharaji would quote it every time in so many lectures of his. And according to him, this is the most beautiful verse which all of us should know. It appears in the chapter, second, chapter number 2 of the 11th canto. And this is the 37th shlok. And the context is the discussions, the conversation between King Nimi and the 9 Yogeshwars. So who are these 9 Yogeshwars? See, Brahmaji has the son called Priyavrat. Brahmaji has his son Manu, and Manuji has his son Priyavrat. Priyavrat's son is Agnid's, and Agnid's son is Nabhi, and Nabhi's son is Rishabh. The Rishabh is also the worshipable deity of the Jains. The Jains, the people who follow Jainism, they worship Rishabh Dev as their supreme deity. So that Rishabh Dev, who later had become an Avadhut, he had 100 sons. 81 sons, they were in Karmkand, and 9 sons had been made the kings of different Varshas in Jambudvip. Jambudvip had 9 Varshas, so each Varsha there was one king, and they were the sons of Rishabh Dev, and 9 sons became Yogeshwars. So Yogeshwars are the greatest yogis. they are amazing personalities. Who are these 9 Yogeshwars? They are Kavi, Hari, Antariksh, Prabudh, Pippalayan, Abrihotra, Drumil, Chamasa, Karbhajan. These are the names of the 9 Yogeshwars. So when the 9 Yogeshwars came to know that there is this beautiful yajna going on, they came down to the Loka, Prithvi Loka of, and there was this king called Nimi who was conducting this yajna. So Nimi recognized the sages, and the sages were welcomed with all their reverence and worship. And then King Nimi took this opportunity, he was a great devotee, to ask some very beautiful questions. So one of the questions was that, what is the mitigation of the sufferings which the jivas in Kali Yuga are facing? And this was the answer rendered by the first Yogeshwar Kavi. In later chapters, you will read there is answer by Hari, there is answer by Karbhajan, and all those answers are amazing. But this one is picked up by Sri Maharaji, and this shloka says, Bhayam dvitiya bhiniveshata syat ishadapetasya viparyayo smriti tanmayayato buddha abhajetam bhaktir guru devatatma. The beauty about this bhajan, about this shlok, is in the first line there is a question about the biggest question that we have, why we are suffering so much. And in the second line is the answer. So as it was written in the Hindi, which Yatin ji read, ईश्वर से विमुख पुरुष को उनकी माया से अपने स्वरूप की विस्मृति हो जाती है. So when we deny God, we say no, everything is as per, the theory of evolution. There is no God. Is it possible that Lord will lift, someone will lift the mountain on his fingertip? We have all kinds of, logic, and we negate God. No, this is Kapol Kalpana. This is imagination. In fact, they call it myth. And that's why they say mythological story. So that is called, we have become averse to anything godly. Vimukh. We don't acknowledge that there is God. So when we do that, what does the Lord's power Maya do? The Maya makes us forget that we are the soul, we are not the body. So that is one, mati viparya. And then we also get attached to the material world, and we start thinking, this is my house, this is my car, and we start living in that fantasy. So this is called Brahm Viparya. And then this causes, because we have got so much attached to material and our own body, then we have abhinivesh, which is the fear of death and the fear of old age, disease, etc. So many types of fear keep gripping us. So this is the problem which is stated in the Kali Yuga, when we have become vimukh to the Lord. And finally, the second line says, what is the mitigation? Consider your guru to be the form of God, and he is the most worshipable personality. And by Ananya Bhakti, which is exclusive devotion, render your service to the Lord. So the question and answer, the problem and solution, are both stated in this shlok from Bhagvat Mahapuran. So with that, we come to an end. We completed the invocation, prayers, the bhajan, the background, glories of Bhagavad, 2 stories we covered, and then we went through the text about Kaliya's mitigation, and what was the reason Kaliya had this issue with Garudji. And we also read this beautiful takeaway. And now over to Yatinji for the rest of the session. Also, we had the internet issue, but these are interruptions, and we carry on trying to to fight it out. Thank you.
जी भैया, good discussion, good session actually, and we got to know about the history of Kalia, why he was in there in the Kalindi River in the first place, and yeah, I mean it connects with the story in the chapters that we had in previous sessions, and bhajan is as beautiful as it can get, and the meaning and everything. So yeah, and the shloka in the takeaways, it was like so a deep meaning and so meaningful. Actually, it contains, as you said, it contains uh, everything in it. One shloka with all the essence and everything. If anyone wants to know what is the essence of maybe Bhagavatam or all the everything, so it can be beautifully described in this single shloka. And if anyone is open to like reading it, and then it contains it's self-sufficient in the meaning. So beautiful takeaway, and the story you told in the beginning also about Bhakti Devi and the state of the her sons Gyan and Vairagya in the age of Kali Yuga. So that is also like uh, we can connect with that as per the state it is there in nowadays. So overall, a great session, uh, and I would like to invite participants to say something. Maybe Hema Didi, would you like to say something?
Okay, Radhe Radhe. Yes, another great session there. What interests me the most was not most, but everything is interesting with the Bhagavatam. It's the history between Garud and Kalia. So I did have a question a few weeks ago about Garud. Why was Garud harassing Kalia? And the answer is here with us today. So I'll take a screenshot of the slide when it comes on the YouTube channel and go into it a little bit deeper. Strange, isn't it, when you have questions and the answers aren't there? The answer comes at some point. As the saying goes, time, place, and circumstances for everything to happen. Radhe Radhe, thank you.
Thank you, Hema Didi. Smita Didi, would you like to say something?
राधे राधे भैया, राधे राधे दीदी। बहुत ही सुंदर सेशन रहा आज का। और आज यहाँ हमारे लंदन में अभी बारिश हो रही है और मैं अपने किचन में बैठकर आपका सारा भजन और जो भी भागवतम की कहानियां हैं वो सुन रही हूँ और साथ में बाहर भी देख रही हूँ। और उससे मुझे बड़ा बल मिलता है, क्योंकि जब मैं प्रकृति को देखती हूँ ना तो मुझे भगवान ही नजर आते हैं, क्योंकि हम कुछ भी नहीं कर रहे हैं। इतनी ठंड आ चुकी है यहाँ पे और धीरे धीरे सारे फूल, सारे सुंदर पेड़, सबकी पत्तियां झड़ गई हैं, फूल खत्म हो गए हैं। और फिर जैसे ही फरवरी से मार्च आएगा सब कुछ खुद ब खुद फिर से आ जाता है। तो किस तरह कोई भी व्यक्ति भगवान के अस्तित्व पे संदेह कर सकता है भैया? जो भी चीजें हम अपने लिए करते हैं उसमें हमें भगवान नहीं दिख रहे। हम ये सोचते हैं ये मेरी बदौलत हुआ है, लेकिन जो चीजें प्रकृति में जिसके लिए हम कोई भी अपना योगदान नहीं दे रहे हैं, कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं, और खुद ब खुद वो ऋतुएं आती हैं, जाती हैं, चीजें बनती हैं, बिगड़ती हैं, फिर से बनती है। तो ये हमारे ईश्वर राम और कृष्ण ही तो हैं जो ये सब कुछ कर आ रहे हैं। बिना हम करोड़ों अरबों लोगों के योगदान के सब कुछ खुद ब खुद सही होता है और फिर विध्वंस होता है, फिर सही होता है। मतलब ये क्रिएशन और डिस्ट्रक्शन का दौर जो है अनवरत चल रहा है। तो अगर हम अपने दिल से पूछें, मन से पूछें और बिल्कुल अपनी चेतना को जागृत रखते हुए देखें इस सृष्टि में जो हर दिन का प्रतिपल का परिवर्तन है, तो वो एक ही है जो कर रहा है। और उन्हीं की सुंदर कहानियों का विस्तार आप इतने ही खूबसूरती से करते हो भैया, हमारा मन मंत्रमुग्ध हो जाता है और हम सब इतनी तन्मयता के साथ दिन प्रतिदिन आपको सुनते हैं। और आपके भजन बहुत ही प्यारे, बहुत ही अच्छे थे। और आप दोनों ने जो भी चीजें गाई वो बहुत ही प्यारा था। राधे राधे।
Radhe Radhe. Wow, what a wonderful narration in such literature. It is really mind-boggling, in my opinion. But just for those who may not have understood the beautiful literary words Smita Didi has used, she was extolling the beauty of nature. She said that she is standing in a kitchen and perhaps chopping vegetables or cooking some delicacies, and then she's watching the scenario outside the windows where the rains are falling, and she also mentioned that the leaves are gone, and until February the leaves will not return, and when the leaves return and the flowers bloom again, it will be a different surrounding altogether. So the point is how all this is happening. The climate is changing, the weathers are changing, the trees are changing, and the sun is rising every day, and the moon is coming up. And if we go deeper, we find that in one tree, every single leaf is different. I was mesmerized when I was told that no two leaves in a tree are the same. Like in our human body, the fingerprints are all different. We have about 8 billion people, but if you take the fingerprints of all the 8 billion people, they will all be different. It seems the eyes are also not the same. The eyes of all individuals are different. The voice is different. The body order is different. And for someone to say that this power is just happening on its own by a big bang and there is no collective wisdom or intelligence or consciousness is something really amazing to hear about the extent we can go about negating the existence of God. My point is, if the nature is so bountiful, if it is so mesmerizing, and so much miracles are happening all the time, our own body, if we look at the construction, is a collection of all different machineries, and it is all functioning on its own. And if there is so much of power and order behind all these, can that power not take the form of God and become Sri Krishna or Sri Ram? The answer is obvious. The scriptures are telling, but still, how many of us have that complete faith? Yes, Sri Krishna is real, Sri Ram is real. And if we have the real faith, we will rush to the Supreme Personality, because he is telling that your welfare lies in coming to me. So wonderful narration by Smita ji. So with that, we have completed the session, and over to Yatin ji for conclusion.
Yeah. So I think we can conclude the session. Everyone has spoken. So
Okay, बोलिए श्रीमद सद्गुरु सरकार की जय,
की
की
जय,
श्रीमद
जय,
सरकार की
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 जय,
जय,
जय जय
जय
श्री
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 राधे,
राधे,
जय
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 श्री
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 राधे।
राधे,
राधे,
जय जय श्री राधे।
जय जय श्री राधे। राधे राधे।
राधे राधे।
राधे राधे।